Honourable House Chairperson, the DA requested this debate because our economy is being held hostage by criminal syndicates who have damaged, stripped and stolen our public infrastructure. Our substations, railways and cables are disappearing at an alarming rate. According to Transnet, the theft of copper cable and rail stock has increased by 177% over the past 5 years. The theft and vandalism of our public infrastructure has a direct cost of 7 billion rand on state-owned entities such as Eskom, PRASA and Transnet. And the total economic impact has been said to cost our economy 187 billion rand on an annual basis. Compounded by the fact that government's infrastructure spend has declined by a whopping 29% or 82 billion rand since 2016, our infrastructure is being stolen faster than it can be replaced. This has all occurred within the context of a low-growth economy that is hamstrung by energy insecurity, rigid labor laws, and protectionism. No matter what kind of demand-side measures government could put in place, economies do not grow without critical network infrastructure. The question then is, where has national government been while our country has been under siege? The answer, House Chair, is nowhere. At the same time, South Africans have had to endure extended power outages and inability to trade their goods and services, as well as limited opportunity to get to their jobs because the trains just don't work. While there are pockets of excellence within the South African Police Service who have done their utmost to fight this war, they remain under-resourced and unable to implement the law of the land. Minister Cele has left them in the lurch. In contrast, the DA in Parliament and its governments have been actively working to come up with solutions to address this issue. In May of this year, we publicly released our plan to fight the theft and vandalism of our infrastructure, in which we called on national government to consider and cost the following proposals: proper implementation of the second-hand goods law, making this kind of theft a priority crime at the SAPS, creating a specialized SAPS unit, setting copper theft reduction targets at parastatals, close cooperation between law enforcement and metal recyclers to assist in the tracking of illicitly traded metals, empowering the Non-Ferrous Theft Combating Committee through legislation and its own dedicated budget, establishing a reward hotline, eradicating the backlog of scrap dealer licenses, multi-agency cooperation, and standardized transaction recording of scrap metal sales. We also raised these very same solutions in the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition's budget vote, which took place later that month. This was reacted, however, in typical ham-fisted fashion by Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Ibrahim Patel. In August, he released a draft trade directive advising that he intended to ban the export of scrap metal for a period of 6 months, alongside a series of other measures, which he copy and pasted from the DA's playbook. However, the proposed ban incorrectly diagnoses the problem and punishes legitimate metal recyclers and waste pickers. Scrap metal exports have largely been limited over the past 5 years due to the introduction of the price preference system as well as the export tax, with a 74% drop in ferrous scrap and a 92% drop in copper scrap exports over the past 10 years. However, in the same period, unrefined copper or blister copper exports have increased from 0.5% of exports to 76% of export volume. And general copper exports have fallen from 93% of exports to 23% of export volume. Government may have also missed this fact, but 99% of the copper scrap exports are in fact brass, which is not even used in cabling. A previous 3-month ban instituted by government did little to prevent the theft and vandalism of our public infrastructure and only ended up in job losses and economic hardship for those in the downstream steel industry. However, Minister Patel denies this fact and is more interested in protecting the oligarchs in upstream steel who are funded by the IDC, given tariff protection from ITAC and allowed to dictate government policy to him. The reality is that if this ban is allowed to go ahead, not only will we continue to suffer at the hands of criminals looting, stripping and stealing our infrastructure, but we will incur a further economic loss of 15 billion rand in exports over a period of 6 months. What we need is a well-equipped SAPS to investigate these crimes, a purpose-driven NPA to prosecute these crimes, and the necessary political will from government to support their efforts. We must safeguard our infrastructure in order to grow our economy. I thank you.